This week, we've got punk stuff.
And the draft. All Systems Go starts right now.
Greetings, and welcome back to another episode of All Systems Go, the only show that knows where they are. I am Vengeance.
And I am the Knight. Let's get started. It's probleming time, gamers. Marvel Rivals developer NetEase has confirmed cuts to its Seattle-based dev team for organizational reasons. Last night, Seattle Marvel Rivals director Thaddeus Sasser used LinkedIn to break the news, stating, "My stellar, talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games, and we're all just laid off." However, he ended his post on a hopeful note, and I quote, "Let's find these incredible people new jobs, because we all need to eat." NetEase was quick to say that these layoffs will not impact ongoing content and support for Marvel Rivals, since the bulk of development took place in China. Oh bother. I would like to personally thank these developers for their work and hope they all find new, fulfilling jobs as soon as possible.
Since it's a Team Fortress 2 story, I have to clarify that my hat is not up for trading. However, TF2 modders got a late Christmas miracle when Valve released an update to Source SDK, which added all the TF2 client and server game code. So, what does this mean? According to IGN, having access to the client and server game code allows modders to change, extend, and even rewrite Team Fortress in any way imaginable. However, while modders will not be able to sell creations for monetary gain, they can still upload their creations to the Steam store, which appear as new creations. Valve stated, "We're hoping that many players will continue to allow players to access their TF2 inventory, if it makes sense for the mod." Thanks, Valve.
You know, if Bethesda loves doing anything more than not working on Elder Scrolls 6, it's getting other people to work on it. They've recently announced an auction to benefit the Make-A-Wish Project, which is an organization dedicated to giving John Cena great PR year by year. Being auctioned is the opportunity to create an NPC for Elder Scrolls 6. However, like the average Khajiit school teacher going through skooma withdrawals, the fans need to know when their next fix is coming. Decorated Service Redditor, Farting Slowly, is using the auction to find an answer. They're doing this by comparing it to a similar opportunity for the game Starfield. Now, the window between Starfield's event and its release was roughly about 2.5 years. Now, this would place Elder Scrolls 6 release somewhere in 2027. Hopefully.
Remember last week when we talked about Night Rain? Well, for the lonely hearts on Valentine's Day, wanting to slash some bosses with the bros, problems arose during the first network test that involved server congestion so bad that players had trouble finding matches. IGN reported that the server issues were so bad that even they couldn't access the game in the first hour, with From Software taking to Twitter to address the problems and that they were doing their best to restore servers. However, From Software announced a second network test to occur later on the 14th to make up for the congestion. While network tests concluded on the 17th, hopefully this was an enlightening experience for From Software.
We at ASG must somberly tell you that Viktor Antonov has died. Antonov was a visionary art director whose work spanned gaming genres and has touched countless lives. Tributes poured in from all across the gaming industry. Rafael Colantonio, founder of Arcane Studios and current president and creative director of Wolfeye Studios, tweeted, "You were instrumental in the success of Arcane Studios and an inspiration to many of us. Also a friend with whom I have many fond memories," end quote. Antonov passed away at the age of 52, and he leaves behind a legacy as impactful and unmistakable as his unique art.
Time to lock in again, folks, as we're bringing back the Kent State esports team. So sit down, grab some popcorn, and let's dive into the action this week. In Week 4 of Overwatch 2, Kent State lost to Northeastern University 0-3, with their standings still at 4th at 3 wins and 2 losses. In their league matchups, Round 6 was a loss against Northeastern University at 0-2, but they came back in round 7 against Western Michigan University 2-0. Currently, Kent is placed at 7th in the league standings behind Western Michigan University and ahead of Eastern Michigan University. For more updates and information, check out the teams at Esports KSU.
Coming right up, I bet my entire house on the Ponitas.
You know, I really wish you would stop gambling.
Can we not right now? Can we not do this?
All systems go. We'll be
always
right back.
Do this
Why
every
are
time.
you doing this?
Time to make like Lieutenant Sarge and draft some Pokemon.
Hello, Paisanos. Today I've gathered Sammy, Cam, Laz, and Coleman, the greatest Pokemon trainers in all systems go, plus one mystery guest for a Pokemon draft tournament. I randomly selected 44 Pokemon and we each took turns choosing one for our team. Here are the final teams we chose, and here's the brackets. The only rules? There are no rules, except for no Dynamaxing for technical reasons. But with all of that out of the way, let the games begin.
Gotcha, bitch!
That bum! He's sound asleep! How dare he! 气贯长虹
Miss.
Things got dicey there for a little bit, but thanks to Fear Baniri, the first battle goes to Sammy. After the fight, Cam had this to say. In the next battle, it's myself versus our mysterious competitor, whose true identity is Morgan Park of that other Black Squirrel Entertainment show, Food Flash, and also Grabback. Let's see who wins this.
Thunder! Wind! I gotta get out of here! Freeze! 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 Get him out of here! Fire!
Miss.
Fire!
Miss.
Fire!
Miss.
Fire!
After a hard-fought battle, I barely won with my Swoobat and Shield Dog, but Morgan Sandy Shocks and Latias were truly worthy competitors. In our next match, we have Coleman versus Laz. Who will come out on top? Find out on the next exciting part of the ASG Pokemon Draft Tournament.
After the break, Zach remakes a discussion about remakes. All systems go. We'll be right back.
We all have our favorite video games from previous eras, but as we all know, some of them haven't aged too well. Whether it's clunky controls, bad writing, or old graphics, some games are just begging to be remade with current-gen upgrades. Some already have. Let's talk about it. So what's your favorite remake to come out so far? I would say mine is either Resident Evil 2 or 4. They're both amazing remakes.
Okay, so I believe I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure that I'm like 90% sure. Okay, okay. It's not just me spouting nonsense. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds is a remake of A Link to the Past.
Oh.
And that is probably one of my favorite games literally ever.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
it's really good. It's I like the way that it also introduces the really fun mechanic of the wall paintings. You become a painting to and so you become 2D to solve puzzles and stuff. It's
cool.
kind of like Legend of Zelda plus Flat Stanley, honestly, and it's really good.
What about you, Garrett?
I have to go Persona 3 Reload. That one came out last year. I can't believe it's been a year since it came out. I don't want my Persona 3 Reload to get old. But I thought that was really good. I haven't played the original Persona 3, low-key. I've heard it's not very good. Don't make them face me. But Persona 3 Reload is really good. I liked it. I wish they added some other stuff from the other versions that I've heard about, because I haven't played them. But yeah.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I'm kind of say the Crash Bandicoot remake trilogy stuff.
Well, that's a good one.
Because it has 3 games and 3 whole games in one, on a cartridge, and the graphics look amazing, and
Nice.
I'm not sure the gameplay has been changed for the better or worse though.
They added the Stormy something.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know.
it was a scrapped level.
Yeah, it was the level. It was too hard for the original PlayStation version. And so they put it in the game and made
That's
it harder.
actually really cool, to be honest.
Stormy Ascent. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's insanely hard. I remember when Dan and Phil played it. Dan was screaming a lot.
So what remakes would we like to see? Because I think, for me, Devil May Cry is obviously one of my favorite games. Capcom shill. I think DMC 1 or 3 would be really cool to see, because 3 kind of doesn't need a remake, to be honest. It's a great game. 1 is, when I say bad writing in remakes, I honestly mean DMC, or bad writing in old games, I mean DMC 1. It has the weirdest lines. But what about you guys?
I can't think of something off the top of my head, so I'm going to pass it to Garrett.
I would like to see probably a Metal Gear, not Solid, Metal Gear 1 or 2, complete overhaul. I know it's an NES, or even before NES, one of those weird computer games, but just redo the whole thing. I mean, we really can't, because Kojima's not on it, but in theory, in an alternate universe where he didn't leave Konami, I would have liked to see that.
Laz, you have any? You can also go with one you don't want to see, I think you were thinking about.
I mean, I do recall that last year when when Pokemon Presents happened, I was praying actively against my favorite games being remade.
Oh, Black and White?
Yeah.
The last
actually
one looks
Black
like Chunko Pops. That was bad.
I was not a fan of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. That's all I'll say on the matter to, save time. And I have to see them do better before I want to see my favorite game potentially go the same way.
That's fair. David?
I know it's a pretty obscure game, but Pitfall: The Lost Expedition.
What is it?
Now it's this adventure game by Activision.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, but I think it should be remade for the Nintendo Switch or PlayStation 5. Yes,
Yeah.
With updated graphics and
Cool.
stuff.
Nice.
Sorry, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'd like to add one that I do not like, and
Oh, no.
that
Okay.
is Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Okay.
Can you
I've
believe
not
this?
heard of this.
This
I haven't
game,
heard of this either.
seriously, this is
No.
coming out very soon.
Oh,
this is a remake
okay.
of Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid
Oh,
3.
so it hasn't come out yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's very soon though. It's a game that is aged fine. It looks fine. It plays fine. It plays good, and it looks good, and it's stylized, and it works. And these new graphics they don't look good. They're like Nintendo Hire This Man graphics, where it's like Mario running in a field next to a hyper-realistic doe. And it's like, it doesn't look good.
This actually perfectly brings me to the next point. Do we think remakes are good or bad, like compared to like new releases? So obviously you're saying you would much rather not have this and have like
Not that
new.
one.
I think a good remake is on par with an entirely new release.
I can agree
I
with that.
think a bad or mid remake is significantly worse than an entirely new release.
Yeah, I think for sure.
Also, we have to consider the difference between a remake and a remaster.
Yeah, that's true. I think. Okay, I'm losing the plot. Hold on. I think good remakes, like, definitely better, but like sometimes you don't need to remake games. Like,
Yeah.
I think RE4 is definitely a possibility for something that you could 100% not have remade, but it's better that you did because you just get a whole new good game. But anybody have anything else?
I think, so, there's been a lot of talk.
We don't have
What?
that much time.
Oh, yes. Persona 4 doesn't need to be remade.
All right. After the break, we've got Vinny's stellar first ever video. All systems go. We'll be right back.
Time for Vinny to get technological on some robot rock, da funky style.
Alright, Interstella 5555, the story of the secret star system. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this is a movie produced by French house duo and one of my favorite bands of all time, Daft Punk. The entire movie has very little sound effects, and the other 98% of the sound is only the soundtrack, Daft Punk's album Discovery, also known as literally my favorite EDM album of all time. The movie was animated by animation company Toei Animation, who was known for popular anime such as One Piece and Dragon Ball. The film was directed by the famous late manga artist Leiji Matsumoto and released in 2003. Since then, it has become a cult classic for many and a personal favorite film of mine. This film had a really impactful message about how record companies try to take all the credit and money from the artists that they sign under, leaving them just a big name for people to recognize. Short summary, the film is about an alien band known as the Crescendolls who get abducted by this weird overlord spirit on Earth, who turns aliens into musical superstars. Then this guy from the secret star system who had a relationship with the bass player saves them, dies, and gets memorialized after the alien band returns to their planet. Obviously a lot more goes into that, but the original film is not necessarily why I'm discussing Interstellar. 2 months ago, on December 12, 2024, a one-night only event was held in select theaters across the country for a remaster of Interstellar. Fortunately enough too, a friend of mine who is honestly more into Daft Punk than I am had gotten 2 tickets for the film and invited me along. We went to this really nice AMC theater in Pittsburgh and ate at a Burgatory right across the street. Soon we were in our seats about to see the movie, and here's the thing. The movie sounded fine, which as a major music nerd was a huge concern of mine, but something was off. This 4K remaster looked a lot worse than the original, and it was so easy to tell. That's when I realized that a major tool was used to produce this. It's confirmed that this movie used AI to upscale the quality, but in doing so, it ended up making the film look really smudgy. I mean, look at that. This of course caused a ton of outrage for many Daft Punk fans out there who were just looking to revisit a piece of media that they've cherished for at least 2 decades now. Now, of course, there are a lot of reasons as to why this theater remaster is flawed. For one, the theme of this movie I mentioned earlier is completely stripped of all its credibility, since making a sloppy version of a critically acclaimed art piece for money directly reflects the morals of the antagonist in the film. Along with that too, Thomas McGalder, member of Daft Punk, has stated before that he is terrified of AI and how the future of music will look because of it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Daft Punk since 2021 has disbanded, but they obviously do still own their names, likeness, and rights to Interstella. And as much as I hate to admit it, this remaster is honestly sort of their fault. They had to sign off on this, and most likely didn't really care what happened with the film so long as the music they made wasn't altered. Of course, this leaves us with Leiji Matsumoto and Toei Animation. Apparently, Toei Animation did not have the original files needed to properly upscale Interstella, so obviously doing a remaster would not be easy. The thing is though, I feel like multiple artists out there would have loved to work on a properly produced remaster considering how iconic the film is. Along with that too, Matsumoto is of course not with us anymore, so by doing this AI remaster, it brings a ton of disrespect to his work. Honestly, it goes way deeper than Interstella itself when it comes to that too. Matsumoto is a really well respected and popular manga artist by many people across the world, and Interstella Interstella is one of his biggest projects, so basically you could consider this his magnum opus. By defiling the art that he had created, you're basically just spitting on his grave. Especially too when you replace it with a machine that makes absolute slop for people to get scammed by. The situation is incredibly sad, and it's honestly horrible to see someone dead who made something really amazing get disrespected. It's really disappointing to see how this entire thing turned out, and for me personally, I am crushed by how this ended up. Something I do wonder, which is something that I've seen multiple other Daft Punk fans mention, is why they didn't just re-premiere the original film itself. There's nothing wrong with it, and it would have been magical for me to see a film that I never got to see in theaters because I wasn't even born yet to be shown in theaters again. I also feel bad because my friend had spent a ton of money on the tickets for the two of us to see, and the experience that we had was extremely unsatisfactory. I was seriously not paying attention to the film at all. I was just re-listening to Discovery again and nitpicking all the sloppy and smudgy details that the AI produced for the film. I even remember walking out of the theater and asking my friend, did that also look AI generated to you? And then a random bystander overheard us and told us that it was confirmed that they used AI. Which, if I haven't made that clear by now, genuinely sucks. Now, thankfully, the movie wasn't the only thing shown in theaters. A message right before the movie stated something about sticking around for bonus content, which was then followed by an interview from someone which I genuinely don't remember that well. The thing is, though, the bonus content at the end was just a series of Daft Punk music videos released across the years, including Defunct, Around the World, and my personal favorite, Infinity Repeating. It was really cool to see these music videos again, but they didn't really feel like bonus content, just stuff to get another trip down memory lane from. Also, knowing now that Daft Punk is responsible for trashing the art that they made over 2 decades ago makes me feel not as excited about the bonus content now compared to when I saw them in theaters. I don't know. At least there was a Snapchat filter, I guess. That's all I have to say. Back to your regularly scheduled programming on All Systems Go.
That's all the time we have for this week's episode of All Systems Go.
Follow our Instagram for some fun behind-the-scenes content, our YouTube for past episodes, and our TikTok just for funsies. All Systems Go, signing off.